Yo, what you saying, bro?
Not much, man. I'm trying to get some new sneakers, though. My old ones are cooked.
Same, bro. I was just looking at some Nikes.
All right, bro. Send me the link later.
A few moments later.
Wait, why am I getting shoe ads already?
We've all had this experience. You mention a product, a vacation, a disease, a kitchen appliance, or that one weird item nobody has searched for since 2009. And then somehow, bam, ads everywhere. Which naturally leads people to conclude, my phone is listening to me.
Do you have any information on what they stole? I don't know. But as long as they don't touch the peanut butter, because I did stuff to it.
Which honestly sounds ridiculous, but also, it kind of feels true. So what's actually happening? Are your apps secretly recording your conversations? Or are tech companies somehow doing something even creepier? Let's start with the obvious theory. Your phone hears you talking. It sends that audio somewhere. Algorithms analyze it, and then advertisers target you. Simple, terrifying, very movie villain. Imagine billions of phones listening 24 hours a day, recording every conversation, every argument. The problem is, that's actually a ridiculous amount of data. Recording and processing audio from billions of users continuously would be enormously expensive. And researchers who've looked into network traffic generally haven't found evidence that apps are secretly uploading massive amounts of continuous audio data from everyone. Not because tech companies are ethical. Let's not get carried away. But because there are easier ways. Much easier ways. Here's the thing. Companies don't necessarily need to listen to your conversations because they already know an uncomfortable amount about you. Every tiny action becomes data, and over time, that data becomes predictions. Really good predictions. Maybe your friend searched for shoes. Maybe 10 people in your friend group searched for shoes. Maybe people your age in your city are buying shoes this month. Maybe you've watched fitness videos recently. Maybe you've visited sports stores. Maybe you've slowed down while scrolling past sneaker posts. The algorithm doesn't know you talked about shoes, it just knows you're the exact type of person likely to buy shoes, which is somehow less dramatic and significantly more unsettling. But there's another reason these situations feel supernatural. Your brain. And your brain is, how do I put this politely, not always a reliable narrator. There's something called the frequency illusion, also known as the Baader-Meinhof effect. You notice something once, and suddenly you start seeing it everywhere. You buy a red car. Suddenly every third car on the road is red. You learn a new word. Suddenly everyone is using it. You start looking at apartments. Suddenly half the internet becomes real estate agents. The thing wasn't appearing more often. You're just noticing it now. Your brain basically highlights it with a giant yellow marker. Look! It's the thing! We know this thing! Now here's where people get convinced. Sometimes the ad is weirdly specific, like suspiciously specific. You mention camping, then you get a tent ad. Reasonable. But then you mention left-handed alpaca grooming scissors. And somehow, there's an ad. What's happening? Well, a few possibilities. Maybe you searched something related without realizing. Maybe someone connected to you did. Maybe the ad would have appeared anyway. And because it matched your recent conversation, your brain treated it like evidence. Think about it this way. You probably see hundreds or thousands of ads every week. You ignore 99.9% of them. But when one lines up with something you just discussed, that becomes a core memory. So, are your apps secretly listening? Probably not, in the way most people imagine. At least there's no strong public evidence that major platforms are continuously recording everyone's conversations for ad targeting. What is definitely happening is massive data collection, behavioral tracking, predictive algorithms, incredibly detailed user profiles. And, honestly, that might be more impressive than listening, because instead of hearing what you want, they're trying to predict what you'll want before you know it yourself. So next time you talk about shoes, and then Instagram immediately shows you shoes, It might not mean your phone is listening. It might mean an algorithm looked at thousands of tiny clues and correctly guessed what you'd be interested in. Which raises a completely different question. Why does Instagram know me better than my own family?